All right. Everybody, make sure to turn your mics on. Meeting of the Somerville Planning Board for July 24th, 2024 will please come to order. Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act has been provided. Copy of a notice specifying the date, time, and location was one posted on the bulletin board outside Borough Hall, 2 mailed, faxed, or emailed to the Courier News, and 3 given to the Clerk Administrator. This meeting is a judicial proceeding. Any questions or comments must be limited to the issues the board may legally consider in reaching a decision, and the decorum appropriate to a judicial hearing must be maintained at all times. Roll call.
Chairman Novato.
Here.
Ms. Rosinski. Mayor Gallagher.
Here.
Councilman Vroom.
Here.
Ms. Adair. Here. Ms. Warner. Mr. Kraska.
Here.
Mr. Carestis.
Here.
Mr. Cleveland. Here. Mr. Addicks.
Here.
Mr. Akins.
Here.
Okay. Pledge of Allegiance. Once I climb back into my chair, we'll resume. Okay, approval of the minutes for July 10th, 2024.
So moved.
Any additions or corrections? Okay,
Chairman Novato.
yes.
Mayor Gallagher.
Yes.
Councilman Vroom.
Yes.
Ms. Adair. Yes. Mr. Kraska.
Yes.
Mr. Cleveland.
Yes.
Mr. Addicks.
Yes.
Okay, we have ordinance number 2737-24-0715, amending Chapter 102, Section 118, entitled Off-Street Parking and Loading Requirements, subsection F, entitled Driveways.
So moved.
Well, I'm not sure, before we get into that, I'm not sure why this is here.
Yes. It's here because the ordinance always said a minimum driveway width. It's 1/5 the width of the property. That's the maximum, the driveway width you can go. However, we changed it for some of the Cadillac streets about 6-7 years ago to add flexibility, and there was a sentence omitted, the minimum of 10 feet. Therefore, if you have a width of a property that's less than 50 feet, 40 feet, and technically that means you're down to an 8-foot wide driveway, which makes no sense.
I can add to this. It was actually on Fieldstone Drive.
Right.
If you recall, we had a resident come in because everybody else on Fieldstone Drive had renovated their driveways to make their one curb cut, but then 2 driveway widths, or 2
Right.
2 cars could fit. It would flare, yeah. So this person came in to do it the right way, and they were denied. And we went out and looked at it. Every single other driveway was that way. So we actually changed the ordinance
Right.
to allow for that to happen. Apparently, a piece of one sentence
One sentence.
was left off.
One
So we have
sentence
to correct it because somebody came in
to allow the minimum. I've been using the minimum, but it was brought to my attention from the zoning officer. Where does it say the 10 feet minimum? I had to get the old ordinance out from 8 years ago, and it was right there. And then there was a stretch through, and what the council approved, that sentence was taken out. So this ordinance is to put that sentence back in to say a minimum 10 feet width of the driveway, because frankly, it's not functional if your driveway's less than 10 feet. When you get on the grass, I mean,
And all it is a concurrence from the planning board to send this back to council to amend.
Yeah, so our motion would be to send it back to council with a
I mean,
positive.
technically, it's that this is not substantially inconsistent with your master plan, and that's what you're sending back to council is your finding. If you have any other recommendations, which doesn't sound like we do, because this is really just a correction more than anything else, but proper procedure is it starts there, comes here, and goes back for public hearing. But that's the motion, finding that this amendment to this ordinance is not substantially inconsistent with your master plan, and that recommendation be sent, that finding be sent back to council.
Okay. Go ahead.
So I'll move that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, all those opposed? Okay, we're good. Next up, we have the concept review for Gateway East Somerville LLC. Yeah, make sure your mics are on.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Mike Ogrodnik. I'm an attorney at Savo-Shock Law Firm here in Somerville. We're here again on behalf of Gateway East Somerville LLC. This is a conceptual review plan to develop several existing commercial uses and vacant properties into a mixed-use development, including an apartment complex with ground floor retail and a large parking garage. The municipal land use law allows for developers to present informal conceptual reviews under NJS 40:55D-10.1 with the goal of presenting this project to the board, the borough, and the public to gain valuable feedback for the shared vision of a significant redevelopment on the east end of Somerville. The subject properties are seven separate lots located at Block 64, lots 10 and 11.1, and Block 65, lots 1, 2, 2.01, 3, and 4 on the borough tax maps located at the intersection of East Main Street and Veterans Memorial Drive East. The 7 properties, which are, many of them are either owned outright or are under contract, contingent contract for the acquisition of those lots. Totals 166,043 square feet. The concept plan proposes a municipal vacation of Meadow Street, demolition of all of the existing 6 structures, and a consolidation by merger of all the lots into one lot. In total, the concept plan proposes over 15,000 square feet of retail restaurant use extending Main Street down to the east end, and a construction of 284 residential units along with 590 parking stalls and other associated improvements such as a swimming pool terrace, amenities, and recreational rooms. This concept plan contemplates 129 parking spaces for retail, 438 parking spaces for the residential component, which is at a ratio at or higher than any of the other projects in the borough. This concept plan, and I want to emphasize, is the result of at least 5 years of work getting to this point. It's been very challenging. There's, as you know, tons of interest in Somerville, but it's very difficult to compile land area necessary to put together this application. We also have challenges related to DEP, which Mr. Stiers will detail, as well as the historic contamination related to this site. There's 2 portions of the property that have the historic Somerville Municipal Landfill, and we understand that development had previously been prohibited or restricted by the development of certain portions of the property related to that contamination. This redevelopment of the east end of Somerville is a culmination of generations of thinking that ties deeply into the long-term planning objectives of Somerville and has been contemplated in the master plan and redevelopment area designation since the 1960s, with the most recent iteration designating this area as the East Central Business District redevelopment area. With me tonight, again, it's just a conceptual review. We have 2 witnesses, Craig Stiers, our professional engineer, and Jim Kyle, our professional planner. Unless there are any questions for me, I would ask that Mr. Stiers review the history of these sites as well as some of the challenges with this development.
Go ahead.